Hello, welcome to this short tutorial video on the role and the mechanics of the Sales and Trade Marketing Director within Shopper Mogul. Now, the Sales Director has a particularly complicated and dual role compared to the others, in that, for most real-world consumer goods companies, sales and trade marketing would be treated as separate functions. But within the world of Shopper Mogul, because both of them are fundamentally making decisions about how we choose to engage with retailers, we've combined the two roles into one director. Now, you can access the office of the sales director from either this central icon on the landing page or from the button in the top menu bar. As you can see, the sales director is one of your 5 directors. He is heavily involved, all of his decisions are heavily involved with all of the other directors. So he makes money by selling brands that the marketing director has created, or more specifically, selling packs that the pricing director has created at prices that the pricing director wants them sold for, all in accordance with the CEO's overall strategy and the finance director's overall investment plan. So what is it that the sales director is responsible for? The sales director really has 2 twin responsibilities. On the one hand, his job is classic sales director work. He needs to manage the relationship, and by relationship I mean money, that the company is spending on each of the different retailers. Now, in the real world, manufacturers and retailers have a very, very complicated round of negotiations, typically on an annual or biannual basis, where they discuss the overall trade terms that the company is cooperating with. And the retailer will agree to sell products from the manufacturer, and in exchange, the retailer is going to make some money. Some of that money they'll typically make directly on invoice by the proportion of sales that they're going to keep themselves versus pass on to the manufacturer. Some of that money is off invoice. It's the money that they're receiving as marketing funds from the manufacturer. Now, within Shopper Mogul, we actually make this a very simple scenario where the retailer is purely mercenary. He says, to be honest, I don't really care what products I'm selling, providing you guarantees that I'm going to make money. So, as the sales director, you have a trade spend that you can allocate to each of your retailers. Now, you can imagine this, if you want, as how much money am I guaranteeing you're going to make through discounts. You can imagine it as how much you're spending on marketing spend, but really we just pile it all into one bucket and say, you are going to spend, you're going to commit that this retailer is going to make this much money. So if we look at the Moose Lodge Tavern, last month we made $1,000 selling our products at the Moose Lodge, and we agreed that the retailer would hold on to $80 out of that. So this is an absolute number of dollars, it's not a percentage. Now, all of the other manufacturers in the game are making similar decisions. Now, the Moose Lodge will simply decide, okay, how am I going to allocate up my available shelf? If one manufacturer is offering the Moose Lodge more than anybody else, then the Moose Lodge will give them a disproportionate share of their shelf, so that they are making more money by cooperating with the person who's giving them most money. Now, so this critical sales director role you manage using this table on the left, where you can see, you can see how much money you've made, you can see how much money you've spent, and every month you get the chance to change how much you want to spend. Now, you can also set what your strategy is. So this is really to help you think about it, to determine which of the retailers it's most important to win in. Where do you want to overinvest to dominate that retailer? Where are you just looking to defend your existing position? And which retailers aren't strategic to you? Whichever strategy you choose, you then get to choose how much money you're going to commit. If you say, last month I spent $80, well, actually, maybe I don't need all the shelf space I've got. Maybe I think I could spend less. Perhaps I'm only going to offer $50 this month. And hit set strategy, and that by itself updates what you're offering. So you see last month we spent $80, now we're going to only spend $50. On the other hand, we might say Amazon, this is a really important growth prospect. Last few months we spent $80, now we're going to spend $130. Obviously, I'm just putting in numbers randomly here. In reality, what you need to do as sales director is go to the insights section to have a look at the available retailer insights and make sure you really understand the relative importance of different retailers to you, and also the relative importance to them, to the brands and the packs that you're trying to sell, because not all retailers are equally important for all products. Based on that, and based on an understanding of what your competition is spending, that's what should be informing these choices. But this is very much like playing poker. You are bidding against the other manufacturers in order to get the disproportionate share of attention from that retailer. Now, so that's really the sales director side of your job. Now, you also have the trade marketing job, which is to determine how best to execute within your retailers. Now, what you'll see is that every month, based on how much money you bid, so if we start looking at this table on the right, for each of our retailers, we can look at different ones. Let's look at Club Cabana. We can see that we can see how much money overall Club Cabana made, or how much money was made in this category through Club Cabana, and of that, what proportion did we get? See, overall, how much money did other people spend? What did we spend? And then this is the really critical bit. Overall, of the approximately 8 shelf spots they really want to have, how many did we get? Now, as the trade marketing director, you then need to say, well, what am I going to do with those? Now, in this case, we only have 2 products, so it's not that difficult. Whichever order we prioritize them, they're both going to be stocked. But let's say next month, our sales director has spent less money than the competition, and we only get 1 product. Which is it going to be? Is it going to be Duff Beer in a 9-pack or Duff Beer in a 1-pack? Now, obviously, different retailers serve different shopper missions. They also serve different consumer types. So that makes some products, some brands more important in certain retailers, and it makes certain pack sizes more important. So your role as trade marketing director is to set this priority sequence. Now, every month, when you get allocated your new array of stocking positions, it'll simply fill from the top down. So the more competitive the game becomes, the harder it's going to be to get all of your products there, and the more important it is to prioritize the right one in the right place. Now, obviously, in the real world, there are very different strategies that companies take. Coca-Cola, they famously follow a 100% times 3 strategy. They want 100% of their portfolio in 100% of retailers 100% of the time. Although even there, they don't mean 100% of their packs, they just mean 100% of their brands. Now, in contrast, in the alcohol world, people are normally a little bit more considered. If you're selling a very expensive sort of whiskey, not every pub in the country is likely to be a good fit for that brand. You're going to make much more money getting your expensive whiskey stocked in the sort of cosmopolitan, high-income places where people are drinking whiskey than you are in the low-income rural places where people drink cheap beer. So that's sort of captured within this game by this element of you needing to decide what your priorities are, and so making sure that your marketing strategy, which is to say which consumers we're attempting to please, is flowing through into your sales strategy of which retailers are we spending money on and what are we seeking to get listed there. Now, down at the bottom, you have a little bit of information. At any time, you can see what your current market share is with different retailers. There's much more information that you can get from the Insights section. So spend time to familiarize yourself with that. Look at the brand scorecards, look at the shopper insights, look at the retailer insights, look at all the insights. You can also see at any time how you're performing in terms of your company P&L, and you can see how many days you've got until the end of the current month, so you know when you're going to need to, when your latest set of bids are going to go live with your retailers. So I hope that was useful in terms of understanding both why the sales director exists and mechanically how you can operate. I wish you good luck with the rest of your session.